we have now covered the Idaho4 quite a few times, okay? And
we've been digging in.
We have been digging in, and it's insane. It's really the first case that has made me want to dig into this extent. Most of all my other interest has been in the psychological, social impacts of serial killers and kind of how they think. That's something that it really draws me to the way that they think and act and how they maneuver and work in society. Well, this case has stuck, and we are sucked in, okay? Now, we've gotten requests of some topics to look into with it. This topic, I've seen all over the internet people bringing it up, and I don't feel like I've seen a lot of good creators walk through kind of what this is, or some ideas or suggestions or whatever. So I wanted to dig into it, okay? So we are going to talk about the drug theory. Is it possible? Is it realistic? Is it something that needs to be dug in further?
Yeah. I want to know what you found.
Yeah, it's super interesting, okay? And it's really close to home. We don't even have to go very far. I find a lot of theories out there make some pretty big stretches to make them work, okay? This one does not. So, starting off here, I think everybody has heard about Xana's mother, correct?
Yeah.
She has been seen doing interviews, and I don't want to be rude here, okay? But we got to be honest here. Part of this podcast and what we do, we always say, I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to share all the information. I'm going to let you guys figure out if you believe it, dig in a little further. But at least we're going to give all the information, okay? So, I mean this with the best intentions, but her mom looks busted, okay?
Okay, do you have a picture?
I do. The people that are watching are going to be seeing the picture. Just look it up. Look up the Xana's mother interview, Kara, and you will see that you can tell she has been using drugs for a very, 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 very long time, okay? I'm talking teeth missing. She is extremely aged, okay? So, where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
Could her drug involvement had something to do with the ending of these 4 students here that obviously, as you guys know and we've talked about, were way too soon, okay? Now,
maybe.
Let's dig into the other parent here. And forgive me, guys, I had to pull up some of these pictures on my phone. My computer was being weird, wouldn't let me send them over. But, okay. So, Corey Hatrock. Corey Hatrock is Maddie's mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law?
Yep, mother-in-law.
Her name?
Married her father, okay? And that's who she was living with and closest with and a very big part of her life, okay?
Married her father?
Correct.
So stepmother.
Yeah, what did I say?
Mother-in-law.
Okay, stepmother. Yeah, stepmother.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, stepmother.
She's not married.
Yeah, stepmother, okay? And she also caught some charges, so this is who we're also going to be digging into here as well. Now, you guys, these are very serious charges that we're talking about, okay? I'm going to start with Corey, okay?
Okay.
So, on June 3rd, 2022, she was charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession with intent to deliver, and drug paraphernalia. 2 of these charges are felonies. Now, Idaho is very strict on drug laws. They have it set up to where if you get 3 felony drug charges, you can be sentenced to life.
Oh.
Life.
Oh, so they're a 3-strike state.
3 strike with drugs.
Specifically just drugs?
Specifically drugs, yeah. So I grew up in Southern California.
That's insane.
I agree. I grew up in Southern California, and they have they had the 3-strike rule out there for violent crimes, okay?
Yeah.
So if you had 3 violent crimes, you were put behind bars for life, okay? Now, these charges happened on June 3rd, 2022. Now, I'm not going to dig into what exactly it was or how they got caught or anything like that. What's important in this situation is that these are 3 very serious charges, okay? 2 felonies, and she did have previous charges as well. They were misdemeanor charges that she ended up taking a plea on and doing drug counseling to get reduced, okay? And
yeah, but in like it was just drug paraphernalia and what? Like they're not.
No, it's drug paraphernalia, intent to sell, and drug possession. 2 felonies, 1 misdemeanor.
Yeah, they're serious in the state of Idaho.
Yes.
But in reality, is it like that serious?
I mean, I feel like you're looking at the wrong thing here. You're looking at this from a social point of view, where these are very serious. She is looking at very serious time. You're looking at like a minimum of 5 years unless something or someone causes it to get reduced, okay? Now, let's go back to the first person we talked about, and that's Kara, Xana's mother. And she had 3 very similar charges as well. So in her past, she had a felony conviction already for drugs, okay? And then on... all right, so in June... Xana's mother, Kara, also caught 3 almost identical charges. So she was charged with possession of a controlled substance, a felony. She was charged with possession, intent to sell or distribute, and drug paraphernalia also.
Okay,
now,
so both these people are drug dealers.
Yes, on paper, okay? There's no other details in this, but yes, on paper, they look like they're drug dealers. Now, they could also be trafficking. It's very common for people who sell drugs to use women because women are more likely than men to get out of traffic stops, things like that. There's also a lot of sex involved in drugs, okay? So these women have these charges on their backs, okay?
Yep.
Now, one thing I thought that I would bring up that was super interesting is I had somebody reach out to me, okay? And we had talked briefly about this drug topic on our very first video we had talked about. They responded saying, oh yeah, that's funny. Like these 4 kids look like heroin users. That's so ridiculous, you guys. If you are one of the people out there that believe that there's a look to a heroin user, I suggest that you guys do your research. So there's 3 main types of heroin out there. You have black tar heroin, which is most commonly the one portrayed in films that people associate that dirty needle hanging out of their arm heroin user with black tar. There's also the brown. I've heard Indian brown, Mexican brown, all the different. It's a brown substance, okay? And it can be consumed intravenous. It can be sniffed. It can be inhaled.
It looks like a rock.
It can be done any way
powder.
Any way that a body could consume a substance, okay? Then you have white, which again can be consumed any way that the body can consume a substance, okay? Now, when you're looking up the statistics on users of heroin, right now, the most common users of heroin are women and middle upper class people.
Yeah, and I think if you think there is a look to heroin users, you're extremely inexperienced because we have an epidemic with this. Young people are dying every day that don't look like junkies on the street, okay? Like, I've known a lot of addicts in my life, and I can tell you, not all of them look the same. There's
Yeah.
many super attractive, upper class, young people out there doing this stuff.
Yeah, and as I was doing this research too, just some of the details that I found, you guys,
They're partying.
in Washington alone, there is an average of 28,000 fentanyl users, active fentanyl users. Okay, so when I'm saying heroin, it could be anything under the opiate tree. Of
Yep.
course, fentanyl is the most easily to get right now, and it's used because you can carry so much less to get the same kind of high. It also makes drug dealers more money because the high doesn't last as long, and it's what's being pushed right now in the fentanyl opiate epidemic right now, okay? So going back to our story here, we have these two women, Maddie's stepmother and Xana's mother, okay? They both have dual felony with a misdemeanor charges that they both got at the same time, okay? So these women go to court to be seen around the same time. They got the same time around the same time these charges. So they both go to court in September of 2022, okay? So on September 7th of 2022, Hat Rock pleads guilty with a reduction. Both felony charges were taken off, and she got a single misdemeanor charge with there was supposed to be some jail time, ended up not having some of that jail time, okay? So I guess I'll go into Kara next. But so Kara, in the same month, September 13th of 2022, also took a plea of a reduced sentence, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you guys, do you think that you could catch two felony charges with a misdemeanor kicker and go to court and get the two felonies dropped without giving some kind of additional information?
For an adult with a history, no.
I don't think
that's
it
possible.
matters. I don't think it matters.
As a kid, I did some like property damage on. It was an accident.
I wouldn't even bring up kids though. Kids going
That's
to
what I'm
court
saying.
is completely
As an
different.
adult with a past,
I don't think you need a
absolutely
pass.
not.
They just don't do it for free, okay? So the only thing that I've ever seen in my life, because I want to make sure not to cloud this, okay? If I'm going to court and I have two felonies and a misdemeanor, no way in hell. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're an adult. It doesn't matter if you have a past. I mean, it matters if you're an adult. It doesn't matter if you have a past. It doesn't matter anything. They are not going to drop the two felonies and just give you the misdemeanor charge, okay? They will not do that.
Yeah,
That
it
will
doesn't
not
make
happen
sense.
unless you have something to trade for that, okay? Both these women had drug charges in the past. Both these women had criminal charges from their past. And both of these women got the bulk of their charges removed, okay? And it shows them in the county documents that they accepted plea deals, okay, with no sentencing or reduced sentencing. And Kara, if she would have caught those felonies, would have been up for life. That would have been her third felony drug charge, okay? She already had two. That would have been her third felony drug charge, okay? So what I'm gathering here is that these women had a big-time reason to come up with some kind of information to get these charges dropped, okay? There was a lot on the line here. There was for real big boy jail and prison time on the line here for both of these women, okay? Both of these women were in the same county. They were actually being defended by Ann Taylor, both of them, okay?
Oh.
So when Anne took over Kohberger's case, she had to separate and split from these two women. But yes, Ann Taylor was working with these two women, okay?
No way.
So both of those guilty pleas that they entered were September of 2022, just 2 months away from the murders, okay? Now, when you give your plea, okay, and they accepted to have the reduced plea for information, this is really interesting, okay? Most of the time, you get that done all at once, okay? Neither of them did. They had a follow-up court date for sentencing. That is not common. That is not common unless you're trading information.
And you got to make good on it.
And you got to make good on that information, okay? So Hat Rock was set up to be sentenced on November 7th of 2022, okay? That is 4 days before her daughter, left this world, okay?
Okay, so you're talking about specifically in the instance of a plea deal on charges like this, there's not a separate sentencing.
There usually isn't.
Because
usually
there are a lot
in,
of court cases where they get sentenced after the verdict.
Not drug court, no.
But with drug court, specifically in a plea deal, you're saying that's like...
Yeah, there's no jury involved in these.
No, there's not.
There's no jury here. So there isn't going to be sentencing at this other time
the
like
judge
this.
just determines it right there on the spot.
Yep, unless you make an agreement and you have to provide something in order to get that reduced sentencing to fulfill the duties of your plea, okay? Now, Kara, Xana's mother, also had a sentencing date for November 17th, 3 days after her daughter lost her life. Okay? That is very interesting that between those two dates, literally right in the middle of their sentencing, both of their daughters lost their lives. I think there's something to that, you guys, especially when you take into account the pinpointed attack, okay? So one thing that I want to point out here that I feel like the news has got wrong is they want to make Bryan Kohberger seem like he was a stalker, okay? If you look in all of history of killers or serial killers, when there's an emotional investment there, they aren't going in there trying to make it the shortest time possible in the most efficient way possible by leaving no DNA possible. Traditionally, that is not how serial killers kill. They are thrill killers, okay? Or they have some sort of emotional tie to these situations where they're taking people's lives. None of that is what we see in this crime scene in the Idaho4. This was planned. This was concise. This was intentional. This was getting in there and getting out of there as fast as you possibly can get out of there, okay?
Yeah, but the knife.
Yeah,
the fact
no
that
noise.
It was a
what do you
knife.
mean? That's literally the best weapon you could have. You're in a neighborhood. Are you going to bring a gun?
So, 2 victims, 2 parents that...
2 victims in separate rooms, by the way, you guys. And Ethan wasn't supposed to be there, and...
they had separate rooms, right? Or did they live in the same bedroom?
Ethan shouldn't know. They had separate rooms. So one of their daughters was in the upper bedroom.
Right.
The other one was on the lower bedroom.
With her boyfriend,
the boyfriend wasn't supposed to be there. And the other... I'm drawing a blank. What's... Kaylee wasn't supposed to be in that room, okay?
So they
so
just
it was
were
literally
victim
their
of
targeted rooms.
They could have been victim of circumstance.
They could have been victim of circumstances is where I'm going with this here. Yes, because it was Xana's room and
so that
and Kaylee's.
That has to mean that the girls' mothers and stepmother knew each other or were working for the same people.
Not necessarily knew each other, but they got charged with the same type of drugs. Okay, you guys, they got caught with fentanyl and methamphetamine. So both of them did. Okay, now just to put icing on the cake here, when Kara had spoke with news media, she was very forthcoming about the drugs that she was using and said, after her daughter lost her life, she bailed on that hearing that was supposed to happen a few days later, and they ended up putting a bench warrant out for her. She was in Spokane, Washington. They found her in a motel room using fentanyl and methamphetamine, okay? And she caught more charges after that. She's currently in jail right now. But what I'm trying to draw the line here is this is very, very good evidence. One thing that I suggest you guys look into here is cartel hits, okay? Look into gang-related and cartel hits. They are there to make a statement directed at a certain person and not get caught. So what they're going to do is they will most likely case out the scene and situation and figure out the best time to get in there. And they usually have an expert person who knows what they're doing, has done this before, to go in there and do what they need to do, okay? Well, looking back at this crime, this was somebody that knew what they were doing, you guys. Anybody that says that somebody went in there and did this crime without having any experience, I just don't believe there's any way possible. In under 10 minutes, okay, one after another, and no shock and stopping, no slowing down, and no DNA. They were conscious the entire time from one person to the next, and to the next, okay? I think this is really good evidence that them and then unfortunately losing their lives could have had to do with this. I'm not saying it did. I'm drawing the conclusion that it could have, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I feel like we've been able to provide a pretty reasonable connection, a pretty serious connection with all of these charges right around the same time, directly tied to parents, okay? Now, let's see if we can come up with a reasonable connection to that house, okay? So I have a couple pictures here that they're going to be able to see, you're not going to be able to see. So there are Venmo charges that were posting publicly. They had their public posting of Venmo turned on, okay? So we had
The parents or the students?
the
that
students.
Were killed?
So one of them directly is Bethany Funk, okay? And the reason why hers stood out is because she had a couple of different ones pop up. So there is a Venmo charge at midnight, okay? 12:30, just a couple months before the attacks, that literally says Coke. COKE in the middle of the night, which is the
What?
time for Coke. And yeah, so then there's another one that says crack cocaine behind rallies. Yeah. So there's definite drug relation
Oh my gosh,
here, okay?
dumb kids. Why are you being so obvious?
I have no idea.
You think that stuff's not paid attention to?
Now, and I'll put a clip of
Is
this
it a
too,
joke?
so-
Are they being funny? Like crack cocaine behind rallies?
I don't
Ha,
know.
ha,
Are
ha.
they being funny? There are 6 young women in that house. At least 2 of the victims' parents are tied in with very serious felony charges
You're
that are
right.
going to serve serious time. So here is one interview, and there are multiple of these interviews, okay? Just listen to this.
They were like large punctures.
So when we go look at this house in here at 1122 King, is it true that people in that house have sold products?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And you've bought from them, or other people have, or you guys like throw down
100%.
together?
Yep. Yep. All the above.
And then you would never classify as anybody in the house as being like, hey, those are drug dealers, or would you just say like those people are like they party? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, and that's what I was saying too. Like, they're more your friends than they are your dealers. You know, they just happen to be your friends that have fun stuff that you can buy off them. Basically.
Okay. Would you think that house had like all this like drugs in it, that somebody would be like, hey, we need to hit this house up. This house is loaded where we can just like ransack it.
Not enough to warrant like a stabbing, but enough to take 4 of them overdosing without question, if that makes sense. What I'm saying is like enough was going in and or out of there that it did not surprise any of us that they could have gotten a bad batch in as quickly as a matter of a few days or a week, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah. So like basically they had enough on hand that if they did too much, they could OD.
100%, yeah. Like, we totally saw that as plausible. Like, they maybe bought an 8-ball or something like that, and that was faced with them, and that's what got them. Right. Definitely, totally, like, 100% yep, I see that happening. Right.
Yeah, so very clearly, and there are a ton of these interviews out there, guys. This is just a Google search, the first one that popped up, okay? There are a ton that prove that Moscow had a ton of drugs running in and out, and it's a college, so every college has a ton of drugs running in and out. So these comments we see where people are like, yeah, okay, they really are doing heroin or fentanyl, or which is the same thing. Like, it's literally the same thing.
You can go look up the stats yourself on drugs in Moscow, Idaho, and they're outstanding. It's rampant in this town, which makes sense. And cocaine is a party drug, okay?
Yep.
It's something people like. It's really fun to drink and do coke all night long. That's something that a lot of college kids have tried. It's weed and coke.
Yep.
Weed and coke and alcohol.
I think
And
most have tried other
they
things
have
now too,
connections
though.
through their parents, and their parents clearly had connections to something bigger.
Yep, and this is just one interview, okay? Now, I want to highlight, too, that multiple of these victims were what seemed like trying to get out of the area fast. You had one of them that was graduating early and moving down to Texas. You had another one of them going on a very long Europe trip. It makes
Maddie,
me...
right?
Yep. And you have Xana's father who came out the week before to change the locks on the house. Okay?
Then why didn't he fix the sliding glass door? Because it was just broken?
Whose mother got a plea deal? Xana's. So why did he come out all of a sudden and change the locks on her doors?
Oh, because he might have known there was
Something
a threat.
was going on, okay? Okay, so I think this is really good evidence. This is really eye-opening for me. I want to know what you guys think. Absolutely, though, okay? So, we talked about what the average, like, heroin, fentanyl user is nowadays. It's women, it's soccer moms, it's the businessmen, the people you wouldn't expect. It's the middle-class citizens, mainly, that are using these
college kids.
drugs.
But another good point is I have seen numerous family members coming out saying, we didn't know of a stalker. There's no evidence of a stalker. No, we've looked through this, we look like that. Nobody has ever, any of the girls' families said that there was a stalker. That just that they were pretty girls and creeps come with that, but no known stalker for any of them.
So I will post this video here for you guys. Boom. But you know what I'm talking about, so we'll just start talking about that, and you guys will have just watched it. But do you remember the video of the night of the killing when they're walking back, and who was it? Was it Maddie and Xana and the guy, Adam?
Or no, not Adam. They were talking about Adam.
And she said, he said, oh my gosh, Maddie, what did you do? And she said, I told Adam everything, like everything. And there was a response with, "What? I can't believe you did that. They're gonna kill you." Mm-hmm. Dude, like, these are all signs of drug related situation. I can't think what else could warrant a response like that other than money or drugs, okay? And there's a lot of like undertones here that locals know what's going on and they're too afraid to say anything after what happened. Now, this is what I want to highlight. The very last thing here, okay? So if you guys remember, I will have put up some pictures here, but the parents went into a plea deal in September of 2022, okay? And then their sentencing hearing was November 7th for Hat Rock, November 17th for Kernodle. And the slaying happened literally right in between those two dates, which, coincidence? I don't know. But for you guys, do you know what happened the beginning or the end of December?
What do you mean?
The biggest drug bust in all of Washington history. All of Washington history. Okay?
In December?
December.
The next month?
In December. And you know what it was?
What?
120,000 fentanyl pills, 42 pounds of meth.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
29 people total were arrested, and I mean, this was huge, okay?
Oh,
This could only have
man.
happened with multiple
Informants.
people, informants coming forward, okay? And I'm not going to name these names. I'm just not willing to do that. But these are people who are in custody, and here's the range of locations: Steilacoom, Washington; Auburn, Washington; Buckeye, Arizona; Washington State Prison; Buren, Washington; Steilacoom, Ridgefield, Washington; Spanaway, Washington; Edgewood, Washington; Shelton, Washington; Arizona, 5 more in Washington, 7 more in Washington, Burbank, California, Seattle. Yeah, so 28 arrested, okay? And these are all cartel connections tied directly with norteños or sureños. And the police claim this bust, which was called Operation Nightmare, and like I said, was 120,000 fentanyl pills and over 45 pounds of methamphetamine, miscellaneous cocaine, cash, and a ton of weapons. But this was in Washington, and it was the biggest bust that they ever had, you guys.
Well, you know what's funny? I'm looking at this map of cartel activity in the United States, and the area Moscow's in is highlighted as cartel activity in
Yep.
their exact area.
Yep.
It's lit up orange.
Yeah. So,
It's not extreme activity like other areas, but they are active there.
yep. So, let's go back over this.
It even identifies the type of cartel.
Yep.
What is the S?
Sinaloa.
Sinaloa, okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So we'll just recap here, because I have a lot of questions. I would think that you guys have a lot of questions.
This is very interesting. That drug bust, like I see, I mean, I feel like you took us really well through the evidence to lead us to this
I mean,
conclusion.
you have
this
the-
possibility.
You have the parents with multiple drug felonies, which only happens if you're involved in dealing, trafficking, or around large quantities, you guys. That house 1122 has an endless amount of statements locally, most of them with their voices hidden and pictures and image hidden of who's talking about that was the house you went to pick up drugs, okay? A range of everything is what I've heard. And he just said right there that it wouldn't have been a surprise for them to pick up an 8-ball that's laced with fent and they all OD'd unknowingly, okay? That means there's a large enough quantity of dope and drugs going into that house that they were also selling that as well, okay? So there's the parents' connection with the plea deals that dropped all the felonies. You have that house's connection with multiple drug claims there, multiple Venmo statements made or purchases, money exchange made. And then we have December with the biggest bust in all of history, only 3 hours from Moscow, you guys. And remember, Xana's mother was picked up when she ran from police in Washington after the slayings. Okay,
I don't know what's happening.
after
Sorry
the
about that.
slayings. So I don't know about you guys, but that raises a ton of questions in my head. I'm sitting here thinking,
Agreed.
were they more involved than we thought?
Yeah.
Were these women potentially trafficking? Is the local drug claims small for what reality is? Are they not wanting that to get out because they know that that's going to bust open a door here and it's going to make Bryan look not guilty? Could Bryan be a part of drug rings? I mean, this will probably be silly, but like somebody had to do the ending, right? Whoever is involved there. That we also have evidence of information being spilled and somebody saying, "Oh my gosh, they're gonna kill you for that." You know, you had 2 of the girls who were actively trying to get out of that area. You have doors on the locks on the doors being swapped like they had pre-existing knowledge of something. So what is going on with all of this? What do you think it is? This is serious. This was 4 people violently and so efficiently ended here. Who would come forward and talk about this if they knew something?
Especially if it's involved with the cartel, like, and the families. You might be thinking, well, if the mothers had any idea, why wouldn't they come forward? It's the cartel. What are you talking about?
They
The
might
cartel
have
just
more
killed their
kids,
family.
you guys.
They probably have more kids, other family. Yes, there was a bust. That doesn't mean that if they don't roll over again, higher ups won't come after them further. Like,
Yep.
self-preservation too, you know? The cartel is scary.
They
like,
are very,
very
scary.
scary.
Mhm.
It is like a government, an extremely corrupt government that will kill you
Yeah.
in a horrible way and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Not luckily. I mean, they ended in a horrible way. But, you know, there's a lot of gang violence and drug violent crimes out there that it is beheading. It is hands taken off. It's a lot worse things than
A
ending
tire around
in
you and set on fire.
Yeah, there's a lot worse things other than ending in under 10 minutes. So I guess if it has to do with that, that's the best optimism I could give you guys. But I think there's some real meat on the bone here, okay? And
I think it's a possibility that shouldn't be just excluded.
was Ethan just in the wrong place and wrong time? Was Maddie in the wrong place and wrong time? And this was meant for the 2 women that took a plea deal's kids. I think these are very real possibilities that
Wait,
I
it was
hope.
Maddie's mom, right? Maddie and Xana?
and yeah. Okay, so Kaylee.
Kaylee,
Yep. Sorry, ADHD. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly interesting. I want to know anybody else out there that has an opinion on it.
Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feel about it. It's super sad, and honestly, I would feel bad for these kids' parents if they think there is any chance that this could have been the reason.
Oh, I know.
Man. So